Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Devin Clark. Kennedy is 30 years old. He's got a record of 11-3, and he's got 5 inches of height and 8 inches of reach on Devin Clark, who's always giving up height and reach. Clark is 33 years old, and he's got a record of 14-7. These guys, I think all their losses are in the UFC, if not the majority of them. They're vulnerable guys. They've been beaten. Each one of them has been finished, knocked out, and submitted, and lost a decision as well. But they both have their strengths. I think Kennedy Nzechukwu has a lot of heart and grit. We've seen him get 3 comebacks inside the UFC. Iwan Kutalaba, Carlos Olberg, and Danilo Marquez. And that's a lot due to his heart and grit and everything else I just said, but it's also due to the fact that he's a bit of a slow starter. And I think that's something that he's probably tried to work on, but it's just his style. You know, he's a guy that likes to figure shit out. And Kennedy, he doesn't have any submission wins. He's only got 1 submission loss, of course, and it's to Paul Craig, which is forgivable. But no submission victories. Of his 11 wins, 8 of them come by knockout, 3 by decision. Of course, those comebacks I was talking about, the 3 comebacks, they all come by TKO in rounds 2 and 3. He's definitely the more dangerous guy here compared to Devin Clark, even though Clark might pack the more powerful punch just based on the size of his limbs. But Kennedy Nzechukwu is the more dangerous guy. And this guy, he's probably the better fighter on the ground. Again, neither guy is really a submission artist, but Kennedy Nzechukwu, I think he's the guy that's more likely to advance, to mount, and get the finish. But I think Devin Clark has that style and all the attributes where he's going to take away a lot of Nzechukwu's strengths. You know, Clark, his chin's failed him throughout the years, you know, deep in the fight to Azamat Murzakanov, earlier on to Alex Nicholson. But if his chin doesn't fail him, I think he's going to be bullying Nzechukwu. He's going to close the distance with that speed produced by his gigantic legs, and he's going to smother Nzechukwu. And I think he could even win the wrestling battle. You know, I'm not sure if he will. Nzechukwu, again, I think he's just the more refined fighter. But Devin Clark is still one hell of an athlete, and he's a gritty son of a bitch himself. You know, again, despite being finished 3 times by submission, 3 times by knockout, if you're not that much better than him or able to shut the lights out, he's going to be grinding. He's a hell of a grinder, and he's gotten some big wins in the UFC, all of them by decision aside from the William Knight fight in which he got a 3rd-round stoppage, which is exactly how you'd envision him getting a stoppage after watching him grind. But Devin Clark, he's a very capable athlete, and I think with his speed and with Kennedy Nzechukwu's slow start typically, it's going to invite Devin Clark to take over this fight. I think Devin Clark is going to bully him, close the distance where he can win the physicality battle inside, and I think he's going to either bully Nzechukwu against the cage or straight up get him to his ass, take him down. He doesn't want to be tied up too much in the cage with Nzechukwu because Nzechukwu has such long limbs. He can definitely make him pay with some Muay Thai. But Devin Clark, again, I think he's just going to be too much physically once that distance is closed. And I'm picking him to win. I played his money line at plus 155, and I threw a sprinkle on his decision line at plus 280, his most likely path to victory. Again, he's only got 1 stoppage in the UFC, but in Nzechukwu, he's been finished twice in his 3 losses. So, I'm not married to the decision line. But Devin Clark winning this fight, I think, it's my pick. It's certainly a possibility because I'm picking it. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.